Welcome to our podcast, Deep Dive, MTR Explores Subsea Technology. I'm your host, Rhonda Moniz, and this is your portal to the latest news on all things subsea technology. This episode is brought to you by the publishers of Marine Technology Reporter, the world's largest circulation publication serving the global scientific, defense, and offshore energy subsea market. For more information, visit marinetechnologynews.com. Hey everybody, welcome to this new episode of Deep Dive for Marine Technology Reporter. Super excited to be here. I am with Brendan Thorton and Erich Gruebel, and Brendan is the port captain for the RV research vessel Endeavour at URI's GSO program, as is Erich, and he is the scientific service manager for the Endeavour. And we're going to chat with them because the Endeavour is retiring after 50 years of service and something like 700 expeditions or science cruises, which is pretty impressive and remarkable. So Brendan and Erich, welcome to Deep Dive.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for interviewing us.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
So I wanted to start let me just ask, and either one of you can talk about this. I'm just curious. It's such an amazing legacy and history that the RV Endeavour is, has behind it, and I wondered. Has there been, it's been at sea for half a century. What do you think is the most significant contribution to ocean science and exploration, or some of the most significant contributions to ocean science and exploration? And we can start with you, Brendan, and if you want to, we can go to you too, Erich, after that.
Throughout the last, 8 to 9 years that I've been with the program, it's been a real privilege to take out scientists from, different disciplines and to be able to work with many different institutions and scientists from all over the world, not just from URI, to, further environmental research and ensure that the measurements are taken for a better planet. It's also been very rewarding to work with a lot of new technology and equipment that is going to further shape the oceanographic community and sampling technology in the future. So I've been very privileged and happy to be involved with that.
And Erich, what do you think about that legacy it's leaving behind?
So, Endeavour has done 736 cruises, and a lot of that, while not as impressive. I mean, you asked about big discoveries, but Endeavour is a general purpose research platform and has just done a tremendous amount of work to. Oceanography is a body of research. It's not just individual discoveries. So just the amount that this single ship has contributed over the years in that regard is what makes me proud. And some of the highlights are just rapid response to things like the Haiti earthquake and the BP oil spill. We keep this ship ready to go at all times to do research like that.
Well, those are significant contributions, I would say. So the next question I have that I'm kind of curious about, considering it's been, half a century at sea, how do you feel the vessel has evolved over the years, both in technology and then the kinds of missions, if it has evolved with mission-wise? How would you say the vessel has evolved over the years? I would imagine technology would be a major one.
So the vessel was developed, back in the late 60s, early 70s. URI had a research ship before the Endeavour, the RV Trident, which was a converted, Army freighter. And the Endeavour was one of the first purpose-built research vessels in the UNOLS fleet and in the academic fleet. So this was a really cutting-edge vessel at the time. She served until 1993, doing various environmental studies all over the world. She's been as far west as Hawaii, as far south as Brazil. She's been over to the Black Sea, up to Svalbard, Norway. So she's definitely lived a very long and storied career. In 1993, Endeavour was refit back at her original yard in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. And if you look at different pictures, you can see that the lines of the ship have drastically changed. And they added another deck in 1993, different systems, winches, and everything to adapt to a lot of the different new technologies that have come aboard and all these other different research ships. And we've kept up with the technology for quite a while, at least in the fleet. We have, we like to joke, a good mix of museum pieces and new technology on board. But Eric can talk a lot more about the specific technology that we've updated in the last few years.
Yeah, so technology and scientific capability wise, if you stepped on Endeavour today after 50 years of service, you would never know that it's a 50-year-old ship. We work very hard to keep it up to date. We're constantly installing new equipment. In the last 5 or 6 years, there's been huge advances in satellite communications and cybersecurity, and Endeavour is definitely we're a leader in that regard. So the age of the ship doesn't necessarily have a bearing on the technology and the capability of the ship.
So, what about the professional side or the human side of it? Do you have I guess we can start with you, Brendan. Do you have a favorite memory of the RV Endeavor? Something that, captures the spirit of the life and work on board the vessel?
I would just say probably one of my favorite trips, at least, was down to Barbados and off of the Amazon River Plume. That was one of the longest trips I was aboard with the vessel, and we got quite close with that group, working 2 or 3 years in a row. And it really kind of was the foundation of when I wanted to stay and when I was certain that I wanted to be part of the oceanographic community. But overall, I don't think I could pick just one memory. We have a very tight crew, and a group of professionals that have worked together for a long time, and it's almost like a second family.
I was going to say the community that must have formed around the vessel over the years between the crew and scientists and students, and that must there must be a lot of fond memories. I'm sure quite a few people have over the
Yeah,
50 years, because it's at URI through the School of Oceanography and through GSO. So this it's an amazing program, and there's a lot of really great opportunities for students through that program.
yeah.
So as the Endeavor retires, what do you see as some of the biggest challenges, or I guess opportunities too, for the next generation of research vessels? I know you have a new research vessel coming in. I was taking a look at some information on that. So Narragansett Dawn is the name of it.
Yeah, so we have the RV Narragansett Dawn, which is presently under construction in Houma, Louisiana. We're expecting to take delivery of that vessel in March of 2026.
So what do you have planned for the new vessel? How is it differ, and what are some of the different things that might be on that you're looking forward, or opportunities that brings?
From the operational side, one of the biggest requests that a lot of the scientists seem to have in the fleet is for dynamic positioning systems. And that basically allows the vessel to stay put in one place based off of coordinates that we can plug into the system. And that'll be very useful for ROV operations, AUV operations, things that require the ship to stay in one spot. Right now, we have one propeller, one rudder, and a bow thruster, so it requires a lot of ship handling, and we can get the job done. But the precision for the new vessel is definitely something that the scientific community can look forward to. And Eric can talk a little bit more about maybe some of the sensors, because that is going to be upgraded as well.
Yeah, so the Endeavor, I mean, one of the primary reasons for replacing the Endeavor, despite the advanced age of the ship, is that there's a lot of modern oceanographic work that Endeavor can't do, and that requires dynamic positioning, like Brendan was saying, and a lot of the advanced sonars, which Endeavor's hull, the physical shape of the hull just can't support things like multi-beam and sub-bottom profilers. Um, I think one of the biggest challenges we're going to face is uh, the last several years, there's been a shortage of both maritime professionals and marine technicians who are able to care for this equipment. It's highly skilled labor, a willingness to spend time at sea. And these new ships are just so advanced. They're unlike anything out there. So I think that's going to be the biggest challenge we face, is supporting a vessel that has all this modern equipment.
Yeah, that's a good point you bring up. There's a lot of training programs that need to be implemented to be able to, keep up with the new technology and the new vessels and the new vessel designs. As the blue economy grows globally, Marine Technology Reporter has the world's largest audited subsea audience. MTR offers insights and analysis from researchers, innovators, and thought leaders in ocean subsea commerce, defense, and academia. At MTR, we always stay one step ahead. For more information on how you can stay on the cutting edge, go to www.marinetechnologynews.com. Obviously, there's been over the 50 years, as we started off earlier in the conversation, there's been a lot of over 700 cruises, and there's been a lot of contributions to science and using different technologies over the years, and having a lot of students and scientists on board and crew. And if you wanted to say something about the legacy of the RV Endeavor, what would that legacy be?
I would just say versatility and perseverance to always get the job done, regardless of what it is. Like Eric said, we're a general purpose research vessel, and it's pretty impressive to have over 730 successful science missions. So it's a real testament to the crew and technicians on board and the scientists themselves, because having 50 years of success is almost unheard of. It's the longest running oceanographic vessel in the fleet. And I also think it's a testament to NSF and the ship's operators for being able to successfully run a vessel that long. There was a lot of care, a lot of thought, a lot of planning, and good people that went into making sure she had successful operation for this number of years.
I think the legacy of the Endeavor and ships like the Endeavor is that I don't think the general public has a very good idea of how important the ocean is to your daily life, and getting the message out that of the field of oceanography, how it's not just whales and dolphins, and being able to train scientists and technologists and maritime crew, because you will always need ships to be at sea, despite advances in robotics and automated and satellite imagery. There'll always be a need for research vessels. They're complicated to operate, they're expensive to operate, but it's just like space exploration. It's part of the pursuit of humanity.
It's very difficult to have people on scene without having a research ship, and that's where you take your most up to date and most accurate measurements is on scene.
I agree. I interviewed the director of UNOLS recently, a few months ago, and it's a little bit concerning, the reduction in vessels out there to be able to do the research and science that is needed in the ocean. And I don't think that the average population understands how important that really is, and how it touches so many different areas of our lives. Whether it's not just, Eric, that was a good point. It's not just about whales and dolphins. The data that's collected is about the atmosphere, it's about weather, it's about life itself on Earth and how it all works and how it's all interconnected. And that data is vast and it's really important. And so, you bring up a really good point there. Um, Going into the future with the new research vessel, what do you hope to see?
Well, I hope to see another successful 50 years of operation for the new vessel as well, to continue the legacy of NSF and URI, and to use all of the new sensors and equipment, even as they evolve over the next 50 years, to find out more about the ocean, how it affects our daily life, how it affects the environment, the weather, just everything that, most people don't even think of.
What I hope to see out of the new vessel is that uh, they are just extremely complex and advanced machines. They're probably the first like them, at least in the United States. And I have a military background. I came into oceanography from the military, and they're far more advanced than any military vessel I've ever worked on. And I think being able to pull off, uh, the operation of these vessels and use them as a model for future research vessels, that's what success would look like to me.
What happens to the Endeavor once I know this, I think it was September 20th was the last day that it was in operation, or the last cruise. Is it still going to be at URI? Are you just not going to use it for extended cruises, or what's going to happen to the Endeavor in the end?
So, for the time being, our office is working with the National Science Foundation to come up with a plan to divest the ship. There's a bunch of different scenarios that could occur, whether it be a buyer or a disposal of the vessel. It's all in the works right now, and we have a team working on it at the moment. But we're thinking that Endeavor will likely be at our pier at URI. We'll be taking off different equipment that can be donated to other universities or institutions, items that we may want to carry over to the new vessel, and having our crew just get the vessel ready for whatever her next opportunity or fate might be.
When I talk about the disposition of Endeavor, you hear a lot of disappointment that it could potentially be scrapped, but I don't look at it that way. I look at it had a 50-year career of doing its intended job. And, these things have a service life. It's just steel and piping, and it's done its job, and the taxpayers have definitely gotten their money's worth out of it.
That's for sure.
I just like to say the human aspect of it. I know I touched on the crew being like a second family before, but in no other career besides being out at sea or in remote areas do you get the human side and the personal side of being with your coworkers. And for all those that I work with now, for all those I worked with in the past, and for some of those that have even passed on, it's just been a pleasure. And this operation wouldn't be successful for as long as it has been without all the people that went into it. And I think URI and NSF and all those involved, we've been very lucky to have such a good group.
And I would like to say one of the biggest challenges of operating a research vessel is, especially in recent years, is just the lack of workforce. And there's a huge career opportunity, especially for those in technology fields, IT, and trained or licensed maritime crew that I don't think a lot of people know this job exists. And these are good jobs. I mean, I feel great about my life's work here. So keep it in mind.
Yeah. Like Eric said, there's a lot of openings, and I think it's a great opportunity for anyone.
That's great. Well, this has been a really informative and interesting conversation. I think the RV Endeavor has quite the legacy, and it's just an amazing history. I want to just take a minute to thank you both, Brendan and Eric, for taking the time out of your day today to chat with us about the Endeavor's retirement and what's going on in the future. And thanks for being on Deep Dive.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Rhonda. Glad to be here.
This episode of Deep Dive was brought to you by the publishers of Marine Technology Reporter. Interested in being a guest or a sponsor for Deep Dive? For more information about this podcast and many other opportunities for your company to stay informed and in the know, go to marinetechnologynews.com. And as usual, hit like and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. See you again on the next Deep Dive.